Hey guys, this is Uberu again. Today we're going to be going over how to play Jazz Ezreal and Jazz Caitlyn. So, as some of you are well known, the Jazz units consist of Misfortune and Bard. So these two units consist of like the whole trait, and what this trait does is you guys might be aware while playing most of the set right now is that for every active trait you add on, you usually, I mean, this just got nerfed from the last patch from 1.5 to 1 damage to 2 and 1.5 damage. So it's not as very oppressive as it was like, it was like just about like maybe 1% up. Like it used to be 2, 3, and 4 HP, and your damage was like up 2%, 3%, 4% flat. That was like insane. But since it's been nerfed, I think this kind of forces like people to stop playing the variation of headliner misfortune reroll, which is get the headliner jazz trait or bard, or then you can also 3-star the MF or 3-star the bard if you're not contested most of the time. So today I'm gonna be going over a variation that I think makes well use of the new 4-cost characters that just recently got buffed this patch. So I think like for starters we can like talk about how good maybe both Ezreal and Caitlyn are in the current patch. I feel that ADCs, just like backline carries, are really strong, and all you have to do with this is add up just your front line, because most of their damage comes from their strong spells. Caitlyn has the insane rapid fire like shooting sniping ultimate, and then Ezreal has the giant ult wave that just clears out like the whole entire like board. It clears so many enemy boards. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to play each variation. I'll start off with Ezreal because I'm pretty sure his build is probably a lot easier compared to Caitlyn since he synergizes with MF. Okay, so for your opener, most of the time, if you can get Bard or MF, if you get both Bard or MF, or if you get MF early, this is when you can start playing for like an early board big shot comp. You can put in Quirky, usually. You can put in the key early game three costs that you want on this board is Set. Set is amazing. He has three like different traits. But whenever you have like you can sometimes go multi-talented, and he might have both like Bruiser and Mosher headliner. But what's good about Set is that if you are to add Mosher +2, this removes like at the end game to like have a need for Yorick, which Yorick is like better in other comps, but I'm pretty sure if you put him and pair him with Alawi as your main front line, you'll win out like most of the boards with this. And then so your early game, find early MF as soon as possible, and then find Set as soon as possible. Maybe preferably a headliner Set. So like you probably could roll down on 7, and then maybe if you find it early on 6, it's pretty good. But usually roll down on 7 to find the headliner Set. Generally, you probably just want either Mosher first. Mosher is your biggest priority to help the Jazz trait, but then you can go Heartsteel if you don't want to have one less of a Heartsteel unit. So if you have to run an Aphelios or something with this board, it's not necessary. You can just, or Cassante. They're usually like basically like out capped at the point. So you would probably get one Heartsteel, and then after that you can just put Ezreal, and then you have the full Heartsteel trait active. So okay, so I'm gonna give you a scenario where we're gonna have a set that has Mosher headline 2-starred. Okay, so usually his best items are just full flat armor. So you want to probably just throw in Bramble Vest and Declaw most of the time, and then I think honestly you can pair this with Redemption, and he's like an insane like sustaining tank that also heals up like frontline whenever he needs to like cast, which is amazing. So you pair him up, and then so you go level up, goes level 7 to 8. This is the time when you start finding Ezreal to replace Corki. You might have a Bard before like the level 7 roll down on like maybe starting stage 4. So you're gonna have like Bard usually. Now you can pair up with any bruiser. If you see Tom Kench is okay. You can put in Gragas. Gragas gives you a couple of slows, uh, and the other one to probably look for is Zac. But Zac is like really hard to get. So if you see Zac, Zac is pretty good to pair up with Set until you find an Alawi. But usually you can be budget this out and usually put a Gragas. Gragas is fine. And your main priority at like 7 to 8 is to find Ezreal and make sure he's itemized. So, and by the way, here's where I'm gonna recommend like the headliner priority for this one. So, generally, some people think Big Shot and Heartsteel on Ezreal headliner is good, and his headliner effect, like you want to headline your Ezreal because he's your main carry. I would only do this if you're playing Heartsteel Ezreal. Like, if you're just playing for a full Heartsteel board, then just go for like the headliner Ezreal. Just like sack a lot of rounds with your Heartsteel trait because it's an econ trait, and then just go for the headliner Ezreal as your late game. But most of the time, you do not want to headliner your Ezreal in this comp. You want to headliner your set with Mosher most of the time, so that you can add up traits to the Jazz units once you have more Jazz units put in. So I'm just gonna let you warn you guys that, and I'm gonna also tell you how to itemize Ezreal. His best item is Infinity Edge, and then usually put in Giant Slayer, so that usually you'll see him like run on the running for this meta right now. There's a lot of HP tanks, so to combat this, if you see people like maybe run Cybernetic Bulk sometimes, like this is very common. You might see it on like 3-cost country boards, like all the jazz. So like you want to ideally get a Giant Slayer so that you can be able to do some bonus damage, like 25% more bonus damage on those units that have more HP. So I think GS is generally just good most of the time. And then your last item is always probably Hodge. These are probably best for Ezreal. If you cannot find like Ezreal probably just wants like amplifying like damage on his on glove items and sword items. So you're gonna generally just want to have like Infinity Edge, Giant Slayer, and Hodge most of the time. If you get stuck with like a Chosen Ezreal with Deathblade, it's okay. Shoujin's is okay. It gets him to ramp up the autos faster so that he can ult quicker. And Red Buff is actually pretty decent on Ezreal actually. If you need to apply cut healing, like you can put Red Buff on Ezreal or you can put Morello's on Bard. I think Morello's is definitely a little overlooked most of the time. So that is why I'm suggesting that if you can go for Morello's Bard if possible to get your cut healing, and mostly itemize like all your tank items for Set and Alawi. So okay, now we're gonna go to the end game board for this, and I'm gonna do this where it looks pretty obvious what you need. And yeah, so we're gonna add in Alawi. She usually wants a lot of I guess you could put Stone Plate on her, Warmogs, and like Protector's Vow, or possibly you might even be able to put away Adaptive Helm, and Adaptive Helm is pretty insane too. Just any tank items are good on Alawi. Set probably just tries to itemize, like to heal Alawi most of the time. And then your backline should look like Lucian instead of Bard. This is where you start adding up most of the stuff you need. So mostly for traits, you're gonna get rid of Gragas now because you have Alawi. You're gonna add in Big Shots. So you have MF. You also could put in some KDA units and Sentinels. You can put in Echo. You can put in Cassante. So you add up your Sentinel units. You can add in Lilia with the other, because the best thing about this is like you have super fans, and if super fans, you eliminate the need to have an item on Ezreal, and then he'll just end up with a Deathblade. But Deathblade is like okay. I would suggest probably going away from that and just trying to add up like as many traits as you can. There's also a chance you can put in Yone. Yone is an edgelord and crowd diver. The best thing about Yone is he has crowd diver, so whenever you might possibly keep like a Kennen or something, you can put in Kennen, and then this opens the spot to add up true damage and crowd divers. So now you have Kiana and Kennen. Kiana can just like steal items, and then you have Kennen here, and And then all you need to do here from here on out is add in just one more trait, which is Guardian. So you can put possibly in Thresh or Nico. I guess Nico's okay, but you probably want her to put her with super fans anyway. And then you can put in Thresh. Thresh is like just generally good. So now you have approximately at level 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 active traits. That's insane. Now imagine if you put Jazz Spat or add up one more Bard at level 10, if you can go level 10 and you're just win streaking a lot. You go 10, you put in Bard. Your board will probably look something like this most of the time. Oh yeah, and also make sure your Ezreal is at least 2-star. Cannot forget that. Usually MF just wants to add in like Pen, so she's like Samara in the sense where like you add Pen, she just does well to help your team on the back when you're doing backline carry. So you have Ezreal, MF with Last Whisper. You can put a red buff on her. You can put in a red buff or Gunsu's. Like some of these items, like just build itemize MF to have like supportive items like that apply pen as well as cut healing, so like red buff and stuff. And you're looking to like add up stuff to like buff your Ezreal in a sense. And then Lucian here, he can run like a lot of attack speed items. He can run Runons, he can run GS, he can run Shojins. Like this is something like I'd expect if you really have no choice. But usually Lucian likes full damage. You can get Death Blade, you can get like Infinity Edge, so you get Spell Crit. Like this is probably what you want on your Lucian most of the time. And if you get 2-star Lucian, this is probably the best way the board caps out, as well as 2-star your Alawi at level 10. So yeah, you're gonna add all these. Set is probably generally just always like up front, and then you put them like right beside the Alawi tentacles, and dual carry with Alawi. And yeah, also I would say put Kiana behind the tanks, and then she can just flank and steal items from the tanks, and make sure she has at least one item. You can put on like Blue Buff or something, or Edge of Night. Edge of Night is pretty decent, or Titans. Just one item on Kiana is generally good. And then yeah, you're gonna have this board. This looks like what you want for your endgame board. Some augments I can recommend for you. If you're going for gold augments, I would try to add up a lot of econ traits. For silver augments, like level up, silver spoon, just anything that like cutting corners, like anything that helps you like level up, because this board relies so much on a lot of high costs. You want to be pushing up as level as you can, and then you're looking for the headliner set. I cannot stress enough that you need the headliner set. No headliner set, this comp is almost unbearable hard to play. So you're gonna go for that. You can go a bigger shot, but it's probably not as good as it is. I would recommend Jeweled Lotus if you can find your Jeweled Lotus. Just anything to help you itemize as well. Like you can look up for maybe Pandora's items to get perfect items. You can also get probably stationary support. Anything backline, you can add up a target dummy too with items, and that's pretty good. You can also go, you have my sword, it's all 80 items, so this helps out your Ezreal. You can add up That's Jazz Baby. If you can get That's Jazz Baby, I have yet to see that augment a lot more now these days. And another good augment is Salvage Bin, so that you can decraft any items that you get and unwanted items and make newer items for the units. So this is generally what you want. Now we're gonna go to the Caitlyn board, which I recommend over Ezreal, because I think Caitlyn's just a bit better than Ezreal. So you can start out with an opener like Lilia and Cassante. Like you're generally gonna get some of this, and then play like early Corki headliner. Usually it's like 2-star headliner 8-bit Corki with like Gunsu's and Shojins or something. Corki can be an item holder for your Caitlyn most of the time. This is probably what you want to start out with once the PvP rounds start. And then you start adding up a lot more Sentinels. You add in Garen, so you add up your 8-bit trait. I would say Riven is probably not necessary, but if you want to go 4 8-bit like pretty early, it usually helps, but you don't need Riven. You just want to add up big shots here. You add an MF for your Jazz big shot trait, and then from here on out, you're trying to see if you can fish for at least one Caitlyn. So one Caitlyn is good. So that you can add up this Caitlyn at level 8 or 9 or 7. So so the goal for this board is to add up as many frontline Sentinel units to make sure they frontline and tank for your Caitlyn. I think of Caitlyn as somewhat like of pseudonym for the Aphelios Bastion board from Set 9. So what you can do with this is have Caitlyn. So you can drop the Corki, put in your Garen, add an Echo. You can add up Senna to add your true damage and rapid fire. Rapid fire trait. At this point, you can drop MF. You don't need MF at this point. Is your carry. And then if you find early Lucians, replace Lucian for Senna, and then bring back the Jazz unit, so like add an MF. And you can, the best part about this is this has a lot more flexibility since you can add an Ezreal too. Adding an Ezreal just goes a long way to like improve the board a lot more. So now your Caitlyn, say your Caitlyn is rapid fire. You probably don't need Ezreal, so you can just add in like Aphelios or something. And then you have your full rapid fire trait, but you probably just need to itemize your front line. So probably instead of Lilia, probably go for Blitzcrank. For Cassante, you can add up Mordekaiser. You're just going to add like as many Sentinels as you can. And you're playing purely for both Caitlyn and Lucian. So Caitlyn usually wants like Shojin so that she can like cast a little bit quicker so that she's ready to prop her ultimate, and then have Gunsu so that she can stack her attack speed a lot faster, and then add an Infinity Edge to give her spell crit on her ulti cast. Same thing for Lucian. You want him to usually just give him like spell crit, so Infinity Edge, GS, Runa-Ons is pretty good on Lucian. And then now you just itemize your front line to stabilize at level 8. So main tank here is Blitzcrank. You want to give him like Stoneplay, Bramble Vest, and Redemption or something like that. And this is usually good to make sure he's 2-starred. Garen is just usually a side Sentinel to put in. And then you want to also avoid putting items of Mordekaiser. So your two main tanks is generally just going to be Mordekaiser and Echo. Or not Mordekaiser, Blitzcrank and Echo. Echo usually probably just wants like flat out like tank items as well. So you can put in like Declaw, Ormogs, or possibly like Protector's Vow, or in most cases I'd say you can also put in Steadfast Heart. This item is just way too good for a lot of the tanks in the current set, and this is probably what your endgame board wants to look like. So usually put both your tanks inside so that they auto prio target like from left to right to the mainline tanks, and then you have the other two dead tanks. It's essentially just like Bastion from like Set 9, so which Caitlyn is going to be the main carry while she's 2-star headliner. And then to overcap on this board, one of the last units you could probably just add in is another Jazz unit to add up. Well, no, you don't need Jazz. You probably put in maybe just one more unit. Like sometimes I think Yorick is okay, but like Yorick doesn't have any synergies. You can add in like or you can just add up your 8-bit trait. So at this point, you'll probably see maybe Riven. So like if you want to go into Riven and have your 8-bit trait plus add in your 8-bit trait, then you won't need Aphelios. So then you have Riven. And if you held out Corkis, you can add up one Corki. So you have just have the reliance on an 8-bit spat and put this usually on your Lucian and go 8-bit spat. And now you have 6 8-bit, so you can shoot for your high score cash out. Yeah, and this is probably what you want your board to be at level 9. And level 8 is really important. Just make sure you have the money to buy the headliner Caitlyn, which is like about 12 gold. And we're going to get to some augments I recommend that you can play with this. Some augments, usually just get spell critting, and everything with spell critting is always good. So I would recommend Jewel Lotus. I can also recommend Ramping Rhythm is okay. It's pretty decent, but it just makes your attack speed like go quicker and ramp up quicker. You can put up econ traits like Clear Mind, Cluttered Mind, Patient Study is pretty good. Just pushing up levels is like really important for most of these 4-cost boards. You can sometimes go teaming up, and then you'll get a free 4-cost, and who knows, you might get an easy Caitlyn from there. Salvage bin is pretty good. You get one free completed item, and then just remake the item into something that you have. And if you get the the trait augment insert coin, I would also recommend taking insert coin. Prismatics, little bit about the same with like the gold tier augments. Just go up. Oh, and if I do have to say that I also recommend with this comp to go pumping up. Pumping up isn't really insane. If you see pumping up, you can try to aim to play the Caitlyn comp, because what this does, it helps your rapid fire. Well, your rapid fire is going to stack up a lot of like attack speed up to like the cap, and then while you have this, while your attack speed is scaling, this makes almost your board insane. I think I've attempted to try this out once, but I only got up to 4 8-bit and barely a frontline. So if you guys can be able to add in the pumping up augment, this is pretty good. Usually combo that with Jeweled Lotus or something, and then just like you have so much damage and ramping up attack speed. It's insane. You can go know your enemy if anyone's like going like this, like same traits as you. Like if they have Sentinels, or Big Shot, they'll take 15% more damage on your attacks. And like I said, you also probably just want Jeweled Lotus. This is probably like a good way to add up like your end game board for the Caitlyn board. So overall, I think if you can play this board, you should be able to probably get at least a top 4. And I think this comp has a lot of potential to go within at least a second, but it's still probably a little underrated compared to like the Ezreal Jazz trade. Just because a lot of people run the Jazz units, and it's really hard to make this work while you have like this and you want to play Ezreal. So yeah, those are the 2 comps. So for Ezreal, main thing to look out for here is to make sure you can play headliner set as soon as you can, and start itemizing 80 items for your backliners. MF wants like pen, Ezreal wants full damage, and so on and so forth. And make sure you always, like I said, I cannot stress enough to saying this all the time, but make sure you have this set headliner and everything will be good, because you add up more traits to your Jazz trait and it makes your board so insane. And then pair this with Alawi once you see an Alawi. And then for the Caitlyn board, main goal for this is to start out with a Corki and Garen, add up Sentinels. If you see Echoes, you take the Echoes and Mordekaisers and add up as many Sentinels as you can to add up your front line, and build up for your Caitlyn trait, which is headliner Caitlyn. 8-bit or rapid fire is okay, one or the other. If you see rapid fire, this means you can add up one more rapid fire to make sure the board is capped, so you can add in Aphelios, and this would be fine. Or you can add in Senna. I'm pretty sure Senna is probably better, so yeah, you have true damage, and Echo can have his passive healing from the Bling trait. So yeah, you can have Senna in here. Where's Senna actually? Yeah. So Senna, you can add in Senna, Lucian, and do a backline Caitlyn carry with Jazz. Although I'd say probably Jazz is a little not needed in this comp because it's full like backline, like long range shooting from Caitlyn. So you probably don't need Jazz and just go like the full 8-bit trade, and then all you probably would just need is the Jazz, or not the Jazz, the 8-bit spat, and then you'll have the full on 8-bit comp. And you just need +1 from your trait. But rapid fire is also still okay, and you might not always get 6 8-bit every game, but generally look for like 6 8-bit, I'm pretty sure, and then your board has like the biggest cap out of anything else. So alright, with that being said, that's going to be it for today's video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like what I'm doing, you can make sure to subscribe to Uberu. That's Uberu, and then you can also find me on a lot of my socials. I'm on Instagram at the user Uberu, and then you can also find me on Twitter at U_Beru on Twitter. But with that being said, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.